When Prince Harry announced that he and Meghan Markle would step back from senior royal duties, the decision sent shockwaves through the British royal family and stunned audiences around the world. What appeared to the public as a sudden break had, in reality, been building quietly behind palace wall for months. While headlines focus on Harry and Meghan's desire for independence, less visible, but equally significant, were the emotional reactions of those left behind, especially Kate Middleton, whose response was far more complex than many expected. Kate had spent years adapting to the strict expectations of royal life, learning how to balance personal emotion with public duty. As the wife of Prince William, she had come to embody stability and continuity within the monarchy. Harry's departure, therefore, was not just a professional disruption, but a deeply personal moment. It marked the loss of a familiar family dynamic, one where the two brothers once appeared inseparable, supported by Kate's calming presence between them. Unlike William, who reportedly felt devastated by his brother's decision, Kate's reaction was said to be more measured and pragmatic. Rather than trying desperately to convince Harry to stay, she seemed to accept that his choice reflected long-standing frustrations. Observers close to royal circles have suggested that Kate recognized patterns that had existed for years: the unspoken tensions of hierarchy, responsibility, and the emotional weight of being the spare in a system designed around succession. In the early years of William and Kate's marriage, Harry was often described as a fun-loving uncle figure, closely bonded with the couple. Kate and Harry shared moments of genuine warmth, laughter, and mutual respect during public engagements. For a time, the trio appeared to represent a modernized monarchy, youthful, relatable, and united. That is what made the fracture so painful. Harry stepping back didn't just remove a working royal, it altered a family rhythm Kate had grown accustomed to. As Harry and Meghan moved away from royal life, first physically and then emotionally, the gap widened. Their decision to speak openly about their experiences, through interviews, documentaries, and personal accounts, added another layer of strain. For Kate, who values discretion and privacy, the public airing of private family matters was particularly difficult. She had built her role around quiet service, believing that dignity and restraint were essential to preserving the monarchy's credibility. Kate's reaction was not one of visible anger, but rather controlled disappointment. Those who know her describe someone who internalizes emotion rather than broadcasting it. She reportedly felt hurt not simply by Harry's departure, but by the tone and content of the narratives that followed. Each revelation deepened the sense that trust within the family had been compromised, making reconciliation increasingly complicated. At the same time, Kate is often portrayed as a natural peacemaker. Behind the scenes, she is said to have hoped for reconciliation, understanding the emotional cost of estrangement on William. She was acutely aware of how deeply the split affected her husband, whose bond with Harry had once been unshakable. Kate's empathy extended not just to William, but to the idea of family unity itself, something she had worked hard to maintain within her own household. However, her willingness to hope did not mean she was naive. Over time, Kate appeared to grow more cautious. Public interactions became formal, carefully measured, and distant. Small gestures, or the absence of them, sent subtle signals that while bridges were not completely burned, they were no longer easy to cross. Silence replaced warmth, and protocol replaced familiarity. The situation was further complicated by Kate's responsibility as a future queen. Every reaction, no matter how personal, carried institutional consequences. Aligning fully with Harry's choices could be interpreted as undermining the monarchy, while rejecting him outright risked appearing cold or unforgiving. Kate found herself walking a tightrope between compassion and duty, knowing that her actions would be scrutinized just as closely as Harry's words. Kate's relationship with Meghan also played a role in shaping her response. Once polite but distant, their bond reportedly deteriorated amid the fallout. For Kate, the years following Harry's departure were marked by a heightened sense of protectiveness over her children and her marriage. Maintaining stability for her family became paramount, especially as media attention intensified and narratives grew more divisive. Despite the strain, Kate has never publicly closed the door on reconciliation. There have been moments suggesting she views time as a potential healer, that distance, reflection, and maturity could eventually soften hardened positions. Yet any path forward, in her view, would require accountability, mutual respect, and a shared understanding of boundaries. Stepping back was one thing, publicly redefining family relationships was another. As years passed, Kate's approach evolved into quiet resilience. She doubled down on her royal duties, reinforcing her commitment to the institution she married into. Her focus shifted toward long-term stability, both for the monarchy and for her children, who will one day inherit its weight. In doing so, she accepted that some losses cannot be immediately repaired, no matter how deeply they are felt. Today, Kate's reaction to Harry stepping back from royal duties is best described as layered rather than dramatic. It is a blend of sadness, realism, loyalty, and guarded hope. She mourned the family dynamic that once existed, accepted the inevitability of change, and adjusted her expectations accordingly. In a family defined by tradition, her response reflects modern emotional intelligence, recognizing that love does not always mean agreement, and understanding that distance does not always erase care. Ultimately, Kate's story in this chapter of royal history is not one of confrontation, but a quiet endurance. While Harry chose a different path, Kate remained where she was, carrying the weight of continuity. Her reaction, understated yet deeply human, reveals the emotional cost of royal life, where personal heartbreak must often be absorbed behind composed smiles, and where family decisions echo far beyond the walls of any palace.